So this is not the video I actually wanted to share today. I actually feel a bit frustrated and angry that I'm making this video, or having to make this video. But I just hope it reaches the right people, and that maybe the organisers of the Enduro World Series watch it, maybe even riders watch it as well, and tell me if I'm on the right track or not. Because we've just finished the pro stage in Leithen, and before I get to what to talk about, shout out to Innes Graham, who won today's pro stage by a comfortable margin, local lad here, like, amazing result. Hope you can carry that on for tomorrow and pull an amazing overall result for the Tweed Valley race. But today was the pro stage, right? Everyone knows that if you follow the EWS. So we just do one stage, we practice and race it. Practice was fine, like, had a really good time. And then when I went up for my race run, we had a bit of an incident. And this is all about cameras and content and, dare I say, money, and probably nothing to do with health and safety, which is probably more annoying than anything. And I think there's communication wires that have been crossed. I don't think some riders know if they're coming or going. This is from my point of view anyway. Now, I rely heavily on content for an income, as I guess EWS do. If there's no content, there's no advertising, the races don't happen. And obviously if there's no races, there's no races. Now, ever since I started racing EWS, or at least in the last few years, or even just racing in general, where the UCI and the British Cycling and other cycling federations are involved, there's always grey areas when it comes to cameras and filming. And I actually don't even know if everybody who is helping run the event knows what the actual rules are, which causes confusion for riders and organisers and frustration, okay? Now, if you're a racer watching this or a rider, you'll know that racing itself is stressful enough. So having even more stresses to deal with and control isn't ideal. So, when I got to the top of stage 1 today, pro stage, I was two or three riders back, ready to go down the first stage in quite a good mental state, okay? The guy left me in front. I turned my camera on and rolled up to the start. And I'll just play the footage now so you can see what actually happened.
And that's a 5. 4. Go. Hello.
Hey.
You ready?
Yeah, ready as ever.
You can't have a camera.
Eh?
Sorry, you do need to take your camera off.
Take your camera off. Take your camera off.
Take it off.
Take your camera
10
off.
seconds, take it off.
I don't even like making these videos. Literally, I do not want to be that guy who fucking calls people out or anything like that. But both the guy and the female at the top of this stage, the commissaires, had no right to talk to me like they did. I don't know what your person's name is, the male person, but just because you are a commissaire and you have a commissaire badge on your chest, it doesn't mean that you can treat racers and riders in a disrespectful way. Same goes for the female. I'm sorry, but it literally upset me. And if you're 15 seconds away from dropping into a stage, you don't want to deal with more stress like this, right? So, I know it's only a race, but it's it's like frustrating. You can't tell someone to take a camera off 15 seconds before a race start, right? And then rush them to do it and then get them to go within their allotted time. Not on. And if any other rider is watching this who saw what happened, I hope you back me up on this. I'll stand my ground on that. Now, the second part of this, so obviously my race run went okay, right? I think I ended up 55th place, which I'm quite happy with actually. But there was always that nagging thing in the back of my head as I was going down the track, like, what has just happened? Like, put me in a really bad place. But okay, that's fine, that's racing, whatever. So I get to the bottom of the track and ask the BC commissaire what has just happened. And I asked him straight up, and I apologise if you're watching this. I was probably quite angry, so I really do apologise for this, but I asked him what the crack was with the rules for cameras. And he said to me, you need to sign a consent form to use a camera, okay? Now, I said, okay, where do I get this consent form? And he said, you need to go and speak to Natalie, who organises these races. So shout out to Natalie, you do a lot for the events, and I have a lot of appreciation for you because you keep this race going. And you keep all those riders up to date, as any racers know watching this. I went and tried to find Natalie, I couldn't find her the first time. So I said, okay, right, I'll just go and watch the rest of the guys come down, the top 30 male in particular, and female actually, come down and just observe what was happening. And there was many people that came through the finish line with cameras on their peaks and their helmets, recording the track. And unfortunately, I don't have any footage of me asking these riders, but I asked a number of riders when they came across the finish line, did they ask you at the top of the track to take your camera off? And I'll give you an example. I asked one person, I'm not going to say any names, I asked one person, did you get pulled up about that camera on your helmet? Who was underneath his visor. And the camera was off, by the way. And he said, no, they just said at the top you need to turn it off. Okay? So then I was like, interesting. I've always had the thought that cameras in races are only allowed to be on the visor or a breakaway mount because of health and safety. So this just basically puts that argument to bed. That's absolute bullshit. It's all to do with money, it's all to do with content. Like, let's just talk about that, right? And it really upset me, okay? And I asked a number of other riders as well, did you sign a consent form to use this GoPro? And they said no. So, when I found Natalie later on, she actually told me there was no such thing as a consent form. Right, so then this is where it gets even more confusing, okay? So, I don't actually think there's very good communication between the EWS, the commissaires, and their communication as a whole with the racers and riders. Obviously, the top 30 guys and girls, I think there's something, this year has obviously been a big push with content, it seems, this is from my point of view, to get more footage of top riders, because I saw a lot of riders coming down with Insta360 cameras, and then when they crossed the finish line, those cameras got taken off the riders' helmets for footage, obviously, which I'm fine with. But there was some riders that actually came across the line, 2 riders in particular, 2 female riders, which I'll put a video on the screen now, that had the camera mounted to their helmet without a breakaway mount. And that was the rule, okay? Breakaway mount or helmet on the visor. That's in the rule book of the EWS, and I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can go and check it out, and I think it's on page 17 for anybody interested. It's on the section about onboard cameras and filming. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm currently at. So I don't have any footage now of stage 1, the pro stage of my race run, which was quite upsetting for me because, as you guys know who watch this YouTube channel, I rely heavily on content for my income. And if somebody tells me that I can't use the content or I can't use a camera at an event or stops me filming when other people don't get asked the same questions and they can film, and it's nothing to do with health and safety, it's all to do with literally just money, at the end of the day, let's just be honest, it is so frustrating. And I said at the start of this video, I don't want to be this guy who makes this video calling people out, but here I am sat here, and I am not upset. I was about to say I'm not upset, I am actually quite upset. But because I'm all for pushing the EWS, I want this sport to grow, I want e-bike racing to grow. And in fact, that's the point. I don't even know if there's different rules to the e-bike race compared to the EWS. Because I did the e-bike race, previous video to this, and I had no question whatsoever about cameras in the race. All they said was, camera needs to be on a visor, under or on top. And I got pulled up in that in the practice for it, which I was fine with. But I just think there needs to be better communication between the UCI, EWS, and racers about content and cameras, because now content is such a big thing, we all rely on it. Everyone's running around with phones, trying to get reels, trying to get this, trying to get that, because that's what they need. Like, everyone's thriving off it, which I'm all for. But to have one rule for a select number of people and then something else for the rest doesn't jive well with me. So if the EWS are watching this, or I don't even know who's going to watch this, I'm open to having conversations with people. I won't delete this video off YouTube, unfortunately, because I want people to see it. I am all for growing the EWS. I just want people to know what I went through and how we can make this process better. Even if it means when we sign on at races, racers get told, this is how it works with cameras. Crystal clear, it's black and white, there's no grey areas. because so many more people are using cameras now for rewatching practice runs, for creating content like myself, for advertising, marketing, everything. It's a massive thing, and I get that. But it is really frustrating when things like this happen and people use excessive power on other people just because they think they're higher up than somebody else. Sorry, like, we're all human beings here, right? And if any of the marshals actually see me and want to chat about this stuff, please feel free to chat to me. I'm open to it. I don't know your names, but I'm so, you know, that's where the cookie crumbles, as they say. It's now Saturday. I did actually have a really good day apart from that, and I'm looking forward to racing tomorrow. I wish everyone the best of luck, and I wish for a smooth and clean race.